All right, we are here. Welcome everybody to our uh, literature at lunch roundtable. This is the 20th day of the month of Tammuz, and we are very fortunate to be gathered together here. Of course, we're between two holidays, two significant holidays. 17th of Tammuz, we celebrated it on Sunday, and then of course 3 weeks later we have the Tisha B'av coming up, the beginning of August. So that's where we are right now in terms of the Hebrew calendar. Okay, and in terms of where we are here. Our session is devoted to um, making connections between our Torah, the Tanakh, and a significant poet of the 20th century, Pulitzer Prize winner 4 times, and visited Israel, very important. In 1961, Robert Frost, who had already won many Pulitzer Prizes, visited Israel at the invitation of the United States State Department as a part of what's called poetic diplomacy. We've heard about ping pong diplomacy under Nixon. This is poetic diplomacy. He was asked by, this is when to visit the divided city of Jerusalem. When asked by a group of kids to write something for them, he wrote the first line of this poem that we studied today, Mending Fences, something there is that does not love a wall. He continued, he exclaimed, stones and stones, and walls, barbed wire, 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 as he observed these the divided city of Jerusalem. He said, the shame of it, the barbed wire was invented in America. So here we have a man who writes a poem about walls, visiting a wall that had been erected after the War of Liberation from 1948 to 1967, and responding. He doesn't like a wall. He doesn't like a wall. Okay, so I ask significant questions, I want to dedicate this program to a number of people that I honor with great respect. Number one, that is Alfred Wolfson and Royce Wolfson, who were presidents here at Agudat Shalom on successive years. They were pillars of the community. And Alfred and I, we had what's called a chavrusa. We were study partners for 3 years, and we completed the book of it's called Mesirat Yesharim, The Way of the Just, which was written by a mystic, brilliant rabbi called Moses Luzzatto. So we studied that. So I have a connection to that. David Wolfson is honoring his parents, and my brother Mike, who's a Cantor Mike in Queens, and I are honoring my uncle, who is a significant man. He president of 2 synagogues, one in Lower Manhattan called the Synagogue of the Arts. It's now called the Tribeca Synagogue, and also Genesis Synagogue. He was a member of significant pillar of his communities in Lower Manhattan and in Westchester. And he got my brother started in cantorial, so we honor him. We've been doing it for about 10 years. So everybody's invited to a Kiddush. That's July 26th. That'll be a week from this Shabbat at the 8 o'clock minyan. So 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and then we have the Kiddush. We'll have an elaborate Kiddush. So,
If I may interrupt this for a second.
Sure.
David, the son, believe me, you mentioned everybody. You should mention him too, because I know him from way back.
Man.
He did for the Green family as a youngster.
All right.
He deserves it.
Well, David and I have a significant connection.
Yes.
His father told him and David and I, we both love hiking mountains, climbing mountains, and David is a significant man, and he lives outside the community, but he comes here Friday night for services. He respects every yahrzeit in his family, and it's an honor to be able to share the Shabbat service, the honor of sponsoring the Shabbat Kiddush. That's, 26 July. Okay, so we have that done. Um, I, I, I ask significant questions, I want to dedicate this program to a number of people that I honor with great respect. Number one, that is Alfred Wolfson and Royce Wolfson, who were presidents here at Agudat Shalom on successive years. We had what's called a chavrusa. We were study partners for 3 years, and Alfred and I, we completed the book of Mesirat Yesharim, The Way of the Just, which was written by a mystic, brilliant rabbi called Moses Luzzatto. So we studied that. So I want us to talk about the ethics of the fathers very much strongly. And so what I'm going to do is introduce a lot of ideas. We may not make complete everything today because there's a lot on our plate, but we'll make strong connections. That's what we're here to do, and ask questions. If there are significant questions, please, if they can wait to the end, that would be appreciated too, because there's a lot that you guys and we need to share with each other. I'm starting off with an event that happened this past Shabbat. I met somebody here that I know personally. He comes quite frequently, and he told me a story that he is a legal beagle here in Fairfield County, and he goes to court wearing a kippah. He wears a skull cap. And he says, that is my way of identifying who I am as a Jew. I'm different. I want them to know that I represent a standard, that I respect the Torah, and I respect the civil law, I respect the religious law, and that's my symbol. Now, again, that's in the context of the law does not require you to go to work wearing a kippah. It doesn't. But he is putting a wall around himself so that other people would say that this is a significant symbol of who he is. So we throw that, and you guys will be able to come in with your ideas, hopefully with other symbolic acts in the community, in the synagogue, your families, and in the Torah, because there's so much Torah that we can discuss. Of course, we have laws of kashrut. I mean, gosh, there have been books written, Yoredea, on how to observe kashrut. Again, the fences around separating meat and milk. I mean, it goes on forever. And the Shabbat, fences around Shabbat, and there are fences around, as we'll see in a moment. Now, the Pirkei Avot is this sheet here. It's called Likutei. Everybody should have this sheet, Likutei, gleanings from the ethics of the fathers. Okay, yes. Okay, Likutei means gleanings. And the reason I printed this up is because this is the inspiration for this class. This class begins with the first verse. Okay, the first verse in the Pirkei Avot, which is of course the ethics of the fathers. I'm going to call on my friend Rosalind to read it in English. Pirkei Avot 1:1. Okay, 1:1.
Moses received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua, Joshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the men of the great assembly. They said three things: be patient in the administration of justice, raise many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah.
Thank you. V'asu siag la Torah. Siag is a Aramaic word meaning fence. Okay, that's very important. What does that mean? We're going to get into that. Okay, Pirkei Avot, number 2. Alex, can you read that? Shimon the righteous.
Shimon the righteous was one of the last of the men of the great assembly. He used to say, the world stands upon three things: the Torah, the temple service, and the practice of acts of piety.
Okay, this is really foundational material, and we can spend many classes explicating what each one means. I put this there because it is significant. We put fences around the Torah, we put fences around the temple service, and the practice of piety. There's no end to the piety that you can practice. Dr. Wolfson and I, we realized it was very hard for us to complete our text in 3 years because piety is a very difficult level of religiosity to practice. I mean, everybody wants to do the right thing, and how do you do the right thing? We studied the Ashrei, and you should go over that and understand how you can get to the highest level of piety. But that's really understood. Hillel says, okay, Joyce, Hillel says, the next one at the bottom of the page. No,
to the back.
no, at the bottom of the front page. Hillel says,
do not separate yourself from the community.
okay, alter ferosh min hatzibur. What does that mean? what does it mean? You separate yourself. I mean, once you build a fence around yourself, you're a different people. You put a skull cap on, you go to court here in Fairfield County in downtown Stamford. Uh, uh, you keep kosher. We had a distinguished senator of blessed memory who kept kosher, and McCain, his buddies, they respected Joe because Joe Lieberman was an Orthodox Jew, and he put that separation symbol of tuna fish sandwich constantly wherever he went, every country he went in the world. He built a fence around himself. Okay, but in the context of this poem that we're going to study, how can you keep yourself apart from the community? Think about that. How can you? Is it a good thing? It says don't, it says specifically, don't separate yourself, the community. We have the Stanford community, we have the community from TBE, we have the community from other synagogues in the community. We have the general community, we have the Christian community around us. So what does that mean? How can we observe that? So that's such an important concept. And that's what our good friend Robert Frost is. Go ahead, yeah.
What he's saying is, do not isolate, do not build fears, do not create any sort of adversarial.
Well,
kinds of
thank you.
things.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what exactly what Frost is going to be struggling with. It's a poem written 1913. Frost was in England. Frost was born in San Francisco, believe it or not. He's a Bostoner. They love him in Boston. Amherst has a library named after Robert Frost. He lived in New Hampshire. He had a farm up there, and so he is definitely a New Englander. And he had a farm, but he was a gentleman farmer. He came up there during the summer in Vermont, and he also had a farm in Derry, New Hampshire, as well. And he was a gentleman farmer, and he's surrounded by a real farmer, and the real farmer plants crops, and the real farmer has animals. Perhaps we don't really know, but once a year in this poem, as some of you, I hope, heard it a few times, listened to it on Robert Frost uh, reciting the poem. Once a year, he would meet with this neighbor of his at Robert Frost's request. It's Robert Frost that's calling this meeting once a year, and it's a way of them connecting. It's kind of ironic because it sounds like the rest of the year they don't meet, but they meet once a year. It's like sitting around a festival table on a major holiday such as Passover, and the family coming together once a year, but they come together in order to have conversation, to have concourse, to relate to people. Okay, so this is a poem written about this once, and the invitation to mend the wall takes place at the request of the writer here, which of course is the persona of Frost, and it's done in the springtime, and it is a significant poem because, as we'll see, because we're going to answer, does Frost really not believe in a wall? If he says the poem starts off, he doesn't love it, and the poem ends, he doesn't. Good fences make good neighbors. So what position does he take? Okay, I throw that out. We probably will not answer that. I don't, but these are the questions that we need to answer as we started. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do a lot of this because there is a lot to cover, and pardon me for doing it a little bit on the fast side because I want you. But if you guys have questions, please come in, tune in. We have 45 verses in order to understand and as I do this, I will make reference to the Hebrew, the Torah law concerning walls. I will do that. So that's something new. I'm multitasking here as we go through, so you guys won't be left out on the Perkeo vote part of it. Okay, he starts off something there is that doesn't love a wall. Something. What is this? What is this something? And spills the upper boulders in the sun. So here we are in the springtime. you can imagine this wall between Farmer Jones next door and gentleman Farmer Robert Frost, and it's a nice wall. And underground, you've got this swelling. Something is going on underground. So right at the beginning, this word something, there's something subhuman. I'm punning there. It's underground. Something is happening that causes these rocks to scatter about. Okay, there's a groundswell. So there's something beneath the human intelligence. So it's metaphysical. Yes, it's mysterious. So right away, that word something, we we try to define it here. That sends the frozen groundswell under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun. So you got these big boulders spilling over, and that's not a part of it. Now you're talking about natural. At the beginning of this poem, he's talking about natural events that occur to break the wall down. He goes from the underground swelling, and now he talks about and makes gaps that even two can pass abreast. So all of a sudden, this wall that separates farmer A from farmer B, two people can go under and actually have a conversation. So that's a positive thing, bringing people together where they can talk. Okay. Now he brings about other outside factors that cause the wall to fall. The work of hunters is another thing. Okay. You've got hunters with fox hunters. It's a very popular sport. It's a very aristocratic sport. And they're chasing rabbits, so they're chasing other animals. So the work of hunters is another thing. I've come after them and made repair where they have left not one stone on stone. So what he's saying here is that independently of his neighbor next door, he has on event gone up and down his wall at various times of the year and has had to fill in himself because the hunters have a way, they have come, the animals have a way of boring through, and the horses, when they jump over, like the steeplechase, they cause the rocks to scatter about. So these are human caused wall breaks in the wall. Okay. The work of I've come after them and made repair. Okay, now we can take this a little further and mystically, repairing relations with people, repairing with neighbors is part of repairing the world, as we say, tikkun olam. So in a way, this is a part of the larger effort for people to get together, have conversation, to elevate they're just not people in their own private worlds. I mean, alter frosh minei. Don't separate yourself from the congregation. And next door neighbor is a part of his neighborhood. Now, these are large farms, 10-acre farms. These are large farms. So there's no reason to walk over and have a chat with your neighbor every day. So you keep that in mind. Okay. 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 They have left not one stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. So you have these yelping dogs, I've said foxes, I meant dogs, the rabbits chasing rabbits, going over people's territory. So these hunters do not have a respect for private property. So these are people that upsetting the order of nature, so to speak, the order which is the wall. They've set it up. That's their order of nature, and broken it down. Okay. He talks about the gaps. Okay, so there are gaps in the wall here. The animals can go in, and once the gaps are there, small little animals can go in, and whatever, squirrels, otters, other predatory small little animals can go in. Okay. No one has seen them made or heard them made. Okay. So what he's saying is that this all happens when he's in his farmhouse. He's got 5, 10 acres and he doesn't see it happen, but it's constantly happening during the course of the year. And this is the reason that they are meeting here once a year. Okay. He says, but at spring mending time, we find them there. Okay. So he's been talking about up until now independent reasons why the wall has been broken. And now he talks about that he and his neighbor coming together, that's when they find them. Not only when he personally goes up and down the wall journey, but now in springtime, this is the time for them to come together. Okay. Any observations, questions, please? I
Wanted to
yeah.
interject something. Getting back to the wall, it seems to be a New England tradition to have those stone walls.
Absolutely.
And the stone walls are like puzzle pieces. In other words, they somehow put all these rocks together and they get together. They're not cemented in. It's not like we recently got one of the walls around the Gudith where they pasted together with
Correct,
cement.
correct, beautiful.
Right, it's a natural way
Right.
also, and it's a free way because when you dig holes in Connecticut, there are lots of rocks underground. So it's a pretty way and a natural way to make borders around your property. You know,
And-
some people do use pine trees or something like that.
And most of the
Yeah.
estate homes in Connecticut
Have it.
involve moving rocks to build a home.
That's
So
right.
it's natural, you use those rocks to create a perimeter.
Perimeter.
Not necessarily to build up a wall against your neighbor, but just, take
It's a perimeter of
pride,
your property.
pride in your
right.
property, yeah.
So it proves it's your property,
Yeah.
you know, plus, if you want people to come visit you, fine. If you don't, it sort of says, stop, don't come into my property, this is my border.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
In a way, yeah.
very good. I appreciate your comment. Right. Yeah,
Ending.
yeah.
It seems that the two men only meet, that's my interpretation, that they only meet once a year.
Correct. That's my interpretation. Yeah, this is the reason. It's ironic that you have a neighbor and, you both have farms and why don't you talk farm talk or whatever? But this is once a year because of this tradition. It brings people together. Yeah. I can take this much further, but I'm tempted to get into the Tanakh at this point, but let's go a little bit further because there's a lot of connections here. Go ahead. It's its own personal assessment. Exactly. He doesn't give the other farmer a chance to talk back. It's all his imagining. He's going to be playing with words very shortly. He's going to have like a tennis match coming up with his imaginary partner who doesn't even have a chance to speak up and say, "Look, I enjoyed this. I never have a chance to meet you. Let's pour some single malt liquor and and get together and have a kiddush." So. It's really great stuff. Okay, so I'm almost ready to introduce some of our Torah law, but let's go a little bit more. He says, and we set the wall between us once again, okay, because it's fallen down. I mean, so that you have to build up the wall. I mean, that's the way. But I'm not quite sure if Frost really wants to do this, whether he has his heart set in him. And set the wall between us once again. Okay, all right. We keep the wall between us as we go. Notice is that he keeps talking about the wall. Keep between us. It's a bridge between people, and we know that's don't separate yourself from the congregation. To each the boulders that have fallen to each. Okay. Him on his side, he picks up these large boulders, and they're large. If you go to this PBS program that I'm pointing you guys to, if you have what's called Passport, you'll see these are big boulders. I mean, they are big. And some are loaves, meaning they're small, okay, small loaves, and some so nearly balls, some are really big. And now he gets a little bit tricky, okay. And somebody want to read the next line? Who is with me here? Susan, what's the next line? After some are loaves and some so nearly balls. Okay,
We don't have that.
it's about five. There's about 6, 7 lines from the bottom. Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah.
Susan?
I think
last one.
Oh, it's part of that.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay
Continue.
where you are until our
Use
backs
one,
are
two,
turned.
Okay, all of a sudden he says we have to use a spell. Now, what's going on? Anybody have an idea here?
Can I?
Come on, Susan, what does this spell make you think of?
Well, because they're so hard to balance.
Okay, continue. You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
Stay where you are until our backs are turned.
But the spell, I mean, spell it out. I mean, what's he trying to tell us here? I mean, these are big
Yeah.
boulders, Susan. They're big boulders.
Yeah.
How are they going to get it up? So,
How do
so
you get those right?
So Frost is a poet. He's using his imagination and is imagining little elfins, coming and helping him and pick up, these magic little elfins. And he says, kind of quite funny. It's really cute. He says, we have to use a spell, abracadabra, to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. In other words, do your work. And I'm not going to even look at you guys. Get it done, and I'll come back. So, he's having fun here. I mean, he's using the poem to show that he's a clever guy, and he wants you to pay attention to his words because each word, like in the Torah, each word has significance here. Okay, we wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game. Okay, outdoor game. So he's introduced this idea of sporting, imagination. Okay, on one side, it comes to a little more that there where it is, we do not need the wall. Okay, so he's talking about an outdoor game. You've got a wall between it, and many games that we know of where there are separations between one part of the court and the other part of the court, such as tennis. Just watch Wimbledon. You've got this net separating. So it's almost like a game. He's turned this ritual into a game, where he has a chance to, this guy's a partner, but he's not a partner because he doesn't have a chance to speak. You don't even know what he looks like. And he's doing his work and he's playing his game and but you're separate. See, that's the point. You're coming together, but you're separate. Okay. All right. And there where it is, we do not need the wall. Okay. All right. I am going to call on my friend here who is on Zoom. Okay. Introduce yourself. Can you hear me? Unmute yourself.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay.
Introduce yourself.
Barry Chafkin.
All right, Barry, welcome. I'm glad you could join us. Okay. So,
Thank you.
are you with us on
Yeah,
the two last lines of the poem and into the first line on the next page? Okay. Read them for us.
there where it is,
He is all
we do
pine.
not need the wall.
No, you see where it says he is all pine, two lines up.
Oh, he is all pine, and I am apple orchard.
Continue.
My apple trees will never get across
Continue.
and eat the cones under his pines. I tell him.
One more line. Go ahead.
He only says, good fences make good neighbors.
Okay, so he's got a straw partner here. You know what I'm saying? He's a straw partner. He exists only in the poet's mind. Okay, and here he is. He's having a fun. They're picking up rocks, not throwing it over to the other side because that would be a violation of the coming together. Imagine he picks up this loaf and throws it on the other side. The guy has to pick up the loaf and throw it back. They'd have a game. Okay, but he's having fun here. But now he kind of gets serious. He says, "Look." I've got apple orchards on my side. Yeah, I mean, apple orchards are, they're for the gentleman farmer. That's the implication here. I'm an apple, and you've got real animals. You're a real farmer, and on my side, my apples falling over the wall, they won't even get across to your side, and they go under your pines. Okay, so what's the problem here? Why do we need to have a wall? I mean, my vegetation is not hurting your vegetation. You got it? Okay. Yeah.
Pine is a soft wood,
Yes.
is soft. An apple orchard is anything but.
Yes.
What is the significance of, if there is any?
Well, as I see it, you're talking about like crab apples versus pine cones. Okay, apples and oranges. There's no connection. Okay, this is as good a time as any, and I pardon because we're on a roll here, to talk about what's called kilayot. Okay, there is and I ask you guys to pick up your handouts. Okay, which we're going to be talking about Deuteronomy. At the top it says Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy. Okay. Um, okay, Deuteronomy 22, 8 through 11. Okay, everybody have it? Law of parapets. And what are parapets? Okay, what are parapets? Barbara Hutnick, what are parapets? You have it? You have the sheet? Okay, what are parapets?
Fence.
I mean, this is
Maybe have it out.
they're a safety area around the wall, and they tend to be low. These are low,
Like a ledge.
like a ledge, yeah, but they're raised up. Okay, all right. And they are in the Torah here. It says basically, anybody want to volunteer? This first one,
Which one?
the first one, Ki tivneh beit chadash. You want to do the first one, Gloria? When you build a new house, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
You shall make a parapet.
Parapet.
For your roof, so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house if anyone should fall from it.
Okay.
Okay, it's a
So it is like
protection.
a-
Okay. So this is
Is it
a,
fence?
a Torah law. There is a lot. This is just the general law. Okay. And as you can imagine, the rabbis, again, we have to talk about rabbinic Judaism. I mean, we live in a world of rabbinic Judaism. Okay. The rabbis do set standards and we follow it as best as we can. It says a parapet. Now, parapet, it's a low roof. Okay. So does that make sense to have you have a roof and you have people up there and maybe you're having a picnic of some sort. And you have a little child and the child goes over and a parapet maybe, is this high. I mean, it's very high. It's not very high, people. And so what the Mishnah does, the Mishnah defines what this means, and it's the oral law written down by the early rabbis of the modern era, first century of the modern era. And they say that the wall should be about 10 arm lengths. 10 arm lengths. That's about what? Yeah, it's maybe 3 feet, 4 feet. It's very, very small. So,
Well, it's not like the wall around the shul, which goes deep into the.
Yeah,
ground for
right.
force.
Well, I don't know how
Yeah.
deep it goes.
It's
in
very
there.
deep.
yeah. So,
If they
okay.
Put a fence around it, they just can't stand it there. It has
No,
to
no,
go.
but it was dug deep for, that no one could knock it on.
You must have been watching. I didn't see
But
it.
yeah, I was.
This is then, today looks are, leaves, and that's what I see advertised. I don't see it in apartment building, but in individual homes.
Yes.
They have these leaves,
Yeah, they have leaves. Yeah, they have
collectors
walls of leaves. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very eco-conscious homes. They have walls of leaves growing. Manhattan, they have these atrium. We have leaves growing around
Yeah,
it.
the ivy's all over the place.
Ivy, yeah, green. Go for the green. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now we get into the idea of kalayim, and Arlene, do you want to read? It says kalayim. It says root meaning etymology in the middle of the page. You see that?
Kalayim is a rare word appearing in the Torah only in context of these prohibitions. So how does this word come to mean mixture? The root word, KLA, is used elsewhere in scripture to denote being held back or arrested. At times it has a related meaning, to cease or expire. Accordingly, Zohar, among the other texts, explains kilayim to mean entrapments, since two species are being forced to be together.
Very good. Now, this is a concept that is explored a tremendous amount of Mishnaic literature. There are something like 77 different Mishnahs. Mishnah is they take a line from the Torah or and they explicate it. 77 different because we're talking about seeds now. We go from the roof, and the next three verses talk about separation of your seed when you plant. You're a farmer. It talks about seeding and talks about you shall not plow with an ox and an ass together. Okay. And the third one, what's the third one called? Shatnez. You cannot mix wool and linen. Okay. So these are separations. You can't entrap one within the other. Now, I studied, interesting, I studied the Mishnah with Rabbi Greg Wall. We studied these, it's called the Mishnah of Zera'im, means of vegetation. And it talks about all these different seeds. I never even heard of them. Rabbinic seeds that you cannot plant a field with putting both these seeds together. I mean, it goes on and on. And then also when you have a vineyard, growing grapes, you have to have a separation of so many tefachim, so many of these arm lengths between one row of grapes and another type of vegetation. So this is the idea of kalaim, of separation. Don't mix them together. Create a wall. So these are all walls, okay? You shall not sow your vineyard with a second kind of seed, okay? From the seed you have sown. You shall not plow your field an ox and an ass together, okay? So these are all these laws that are very strong laws written to protect the message behind the law, the message. And many of them, we don't understand why, but the rabbis find little holes around these to get through if you study very deeply, but we're not going to go there. I just want you guys to get the idea of how rabbinic Judaism ties in to Torah law and so forth. Okay. There is one other law here on this page at the bottom where it says Leviticus 25, 29, 30. Okay, do I have a volunteer that will read it? Okay, Gloria, go ahead.
If any party sells a dwelling house in a walled city, it may be redeemed until a year has elapsed since its sale. The redemption period shall be a year. If it is not redeemed before a full year has elapsed, the house in the walled city shall pass to the purchaser beyond reclaim throughout the ages. It shall not be released in the Jubilee.
Okay, why do I raise this? I'm prejudiced. This is from my Parsha, Bahar, which I had the privilege of reading, Bahar Bechukotai, 2 Parshas for my bar mitzvah. And of course, I didn't understand it at age 12. I'm not quite sure I understand it at age 70 plus, right? But it's the idea here that you have a walled city. Now, walled city is there for a reason. Walled cities were done for what reasons? Why do you wall a city in? Why?
Protection.
Protection, okay. It's a protection. And why is Jerusalem walled in? Why did we have, it says, we say on the Sabbath, you shall tivnech hamot Yerushalayim. Why do we keep building those walls? Why?
For protection.
Protection and for sanctity.
Thanks,
And
Brandon.
I want to emphasize sanctity. That's very important. Now, if you have a wall, and this goes back to when we had the temple, and we don't have the temple anymore. These laws were observed during the temple times. And so if you had a home in Jerusalem and you bought that home, and for whatever reason you could not keep that home, you had to sell it. The Torah is very strict here. It gives you, the selling party, only 1 year to get your life together and to repurchase your home. It's your home. It's in a sacred city, a sacred home. You've got the protection, and you should be given, the Torah is saying, we're giving you the right to have this home, but you got to reclaim it. You have to pay. Go back to the person you sold it to, and if you have the money to meet his conditions, you get to reclaim it. If a year goes by, you've lost it. Now, there's another concept called Jubilee. Jubilee is the concept that every 50 years, all property, physical property, homes, land goes back to the original owner. Okay. So in this particular law, that person has lost, if that person does not have the money to buy it at the end of one year, comes Jubilee year, 49 years later, he's now 79, whatever, he's lost it. The purchaser gets to keep it. Okay. Now, there's a lot of mysticism here. A lot of rabbis get into this, but as I see it, the general idea is if you purchased a home in Jerusalem and it's a special home, the temple is there, you bought it, you have an obligation to keep that home. Don't allow yourself to get into poverty. If you've gotten to poverty, the Torah is saying it's giving you a year to work it out, find out how you can get that home back. But if you can't get it back, you've blown it. It's a pretty tough law. That's what I'm trying to say.
So one buys the home
Yes.
and it's mortgaged, is that the notion, or?
Again, these are details that we'd have to get into, and the rabbis explore all this in the Mishnahs. That's why the Mishnah comes on. But assuming that you bought the home,
You bought it and you paid for it.
yeah,
it's
you
yours.
assume you paid for it, but you cannot maintain it. Okay,
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
that's the assumption I'm going here. But I'm glad you raised it because there.
No, I missed it. I'm
Yes.
deaf on one side, so I might have missed something.
Thank you for All right, now.
And it's
um,
walled cities, also,
um,
not necessarily Jerusalem. It may be something Jericho, which
Yeah, but the law would not apply because it has to be when the temple, all these laws were meant to be observed when you had the temple. When we were in Jericho, it was after. Wait a second, that was,
Before.
that's right, you should have had it in Jericho. When you settled in Jericho. That's a good question. You'd have to ask the rabbis on that. It's a very good question. Yeah. Yeah. But I tend to think about, I've got Jerusalem on my mind, yeah. But Jericho, yes, you have the walls of Jericho. They came tumbling down, and they're all the laws of Jericho under Joshua. Good. You're taking us to a place that we have no business going right now, but I appreciate it. I really do. Okay. So with that, let's move on. Going back to Robert Frost and going back to this. I call him a deist. I mean, he's a very spiritual man. He has his own religion, which I think is probably deism. He sees God in nature. Okay, and that's why he is so spiritual. Okay. Okay. Now I'm on second page, fourth line. Okay. He says, if I could put a notion in his head. Okay. Notice that his straw man neighbor just said, good fences make good neighbors. He's all for the fence. Okay. And Frost is being the cute guy. He's being the guy that likes to, he's the court jester. He likes to come up with questions that stump the rabbi, and he's saying, spring is the mischief in me. And I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. So what's he going to try to do? He says, why do they make good neighbors? He's questioning, who are you to tell me? Okay. Isn't it where there are cows? Okay. But here there are no cows. You call yourself a farmer, but you don't have any cows in this area, at least by my wall. Okay. Before I built the wall, I'd asked to know what I was walling in or walling out. Now that's a very powerful line. That's very powerful. Before you observe something, before you adopt something as a ritual, it's nice to ask, why am I doing it? Because my father did it? Is that enough to make me want to continue doing it? Or is there another reason? Is there another reason beyond my father? Or my father didn't do it. My father didn't do this. So, but I feel I should. Okay. So Frost is beginning to he's continuing to play with his imaginary neighbor here. Um, and the next line, do I have somebody who will read the next line? And to whom? Anybody? And to whom? Yeah, yeah.
It's like to give offense.
Okay.
Something there is that doesn't love, something there is that doesn't love a wall.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And to whom I was like to give offense. Now, there's a pun here, of course, offense, because you got the word fence in there. Okay. But, and it seems like the word offense it's a minor thing. I apologize. You make an offense, you do a small little sin or an avera, as they say, a small sin, then you beg, forget, I'm sorry I offended you. Okay. But here, Frost is taken to another level because the root word for offense in Latin comes from the word fendere, which means to fight or struggle. And so there's a deep meaning here of defending, of being rough and tumble here. Okay, it's rough and tumble politics going on here. And we'll see how that plays out. Keep that in mind. Don't trust me just because I'm saying that, but let's see if that works out. Okay. Something there is that doesn't love wants it down. Okay. Stuart, I could say, go ahead, next one. I could say elves.
Oh, okay, that wants it, okay.
Yeah.
That wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself.
Okay, good. I mention elves. Now, what's going on here? What's going on here is that you remember I mentioned that way back he was talking about we have to use the spell to make them balance. Let's call on these imaginary and let's turn our back, let them do their dirty work, and then we come around and all of a sudden, you know, they've done a mitzvah. They made it happen. Yeah, we know nothing about it. We don't believe in this stuff, right? Okay, so this is where he comes back to the idea of elves. He's playing with language, playing with his imaginary partner, and he says, "I'd rather he said it for himself. Why should I be the one getting all the glory? Let this imaginary farmer let him take some credit for making all this magic happen." Right? It's kind of cute. Right? Okay. Now this is really heavy stuff here. Who have not heard from that wants to who wants to? Susan, I got to call on you. Susan, go ahead.
Already, but
Yeah, I'm calling on you again. Okay. Okay.
but he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top, in each hand like an old stone savage arm. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me.
Very good. Let's just stop here for a minute. Okay. What you're saying here is very significant. But why? Okay. He says, I see him there, bringing a stone, grasped firmly by the top, in each hand like an old stone savage armed. He moved in darkness. What does that make you feel?
Red.
What? It makes you,
Red.
yeah, I mean, what's this image you have? The straw man, the farmer there. What kind of an image is he creating here?
Somebody invading.
Somebody who's
Dangerous.
aging. Is that what
Dangerous.
dangerous? Yes, dangerous. Okay. He's savage. It's almost like Stone Age. You know, these Stone Age guys. You know, they carried around these like tomahawks. They had triangular stones placed and like tomahawks. So he turns this guy into somebody who's savage, somebody that you really can't trust. Okay, and why is he doing that? Okay, well we'll find out. He says he moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and shade of trees. He's not only a shady character. With woods only. I mean, what we have is woods. I mean, what's there to be afraid of this guy? We're in the shade of trees. But what's worse than having an imaginary partner there who is coming together once a year? You're having a conversation. You're playing imaginary tennis across the way. You've got these elves coming to help you. what really bothers Frost here is in the next sentence, and which reads, he will not go behind his father's saying. He likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors. Now, let's pull this thing really tight, okay? Let's pull it tight. How can we connect these three lines to what I introduced you with from the ethics of the fathers? Come on. Somebody come up with an idea. How do we tie this together?
Gotta have boundaries.
Got to have boundaries, but listen, he will not give you, look, I introduced this session with quotations from Ethics of the Fathers.
This is his
Okay.
father.
Okay, now, what's the difference between what his father is saying and the ethics of our fathers? Is there a difference? And is there a connection? And what is Frost feeling about this man's connection to his father, and what's our feeling of our connection to our fathers in the ethics of the father? These are really tough questions to ask, but go ahead. You have any thoughts on it?
Feels
Yeah.
to me like our connection to ethics of the father is there's boundaries to safeguard the Torah. And so there are things that we want and need to protect, but this sounds like someone perhaps not open to ideas. My father, such a way, this is the way it was, this is the way it is, this is the way it will be for him. Like that.
Perfect, really good. I think you got to the matter. He's looking at, ritual. We're talking about, we have rituals, Torah rituals, and we have laws around them to be sure that we observe these rituals. This man has a ritual. It's been passed down to him from generation to generation. He could have been eighth or 10th generation Vermontian observing this, his mitzvah. It's kind of like a passed down from generation to generation. So there's a positive part of it. His father, he's just doing what his father did. How about thinking for yourself, buddy? Here we are. Let's play imaginary tennis across there. Let's make believe we're having a scotch together. Let's make believe that we do this more than once a year, that we should do, make once a month, come together, discuss politics, whatever, change, look at the Father's Almanac, how you should plant your crops, and so that you have a bountiful crop, and I'll separate my seeds from my seeds, or whatever. He comes away with a veneration for tradition. It's nice doing this every year. It's nice coming together. It brings us together. We would not have this conversation together. We can imagine other events taking place, the little elephants helping us, playing the role of a good neighbor, plugging up holes so that the hunters don't get the message they shouldn't be running amok over our fields. Yeah.
One, and expressed it very well, is tradition, and one is reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as he refers to good friends as make good neighbors.
Very good. I like that. You said it. I couldn't have said it any more perfectly. Did you hear that, Barry? What she said? Yeah. You have to mute yourself. Unmute. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Can you repeat
Can you
that?
repeat that? That was really good. Repeat it.
One is belief, connection, faith, and the other is dealing with the everyday reality of life.
The everyday
And,
reality is that, we
And
live in a society where there are intruders. And I must say that, where there are, besides those aliens that some people believe in, but there are intruders, and they're out there. You come here on the Sabbath, we are protected. Let me tell you, I
Yeah.
feel 100% protected with the police here, with ammunition and the walkie-talkies, these guys communicating with each other. We have protection. And we need that. We need that strong sense of wall, even though to our neighbors, I mean, I've heard people say, and these are non-Jewish members that I respect very, I don't know why you guys had to build a fence like that. I mean, it was perfectly, and like some of you have told me, if you're going to bring an armored vehicle, it's so easy to go right through some of
Yeah.
these openings,
That-
man-created openings. I mean,
That's the first
you
thing
can't-
that's going.
I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But
That's where the guards are standing, so they'll be shot.
I mean, I mean, God forbid. I mean,
Yeah.
we've read what happened in Pittsburgh. It's still very real what has happened in so many communities where they let their guards down. But like Thomas Jefferson said, the key to a safe republic is an armed republic. The key to happiness is eternal defense. If you're going to be happy, above all, you got to defend yourself, and that's the reality. Um, um, I mean, we have to think in terms of our neighbor, and not only our neighbor, but ourselves, above all, our families, and and other members of the Jewish community. Now, I finish up with one final reference, and that is on this page on the app. I have a quote here from the Parsha of the week. Everybody see it? Okay. Somebody want to read it? Barbara, read it for us. It's from Parshat Balak. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Barbara. It's on the other side here. Okay, this is
Okay.
the ultimate connection here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Barbara Hutnick. Barbara and I are classmates. We go back to Mount Vernon, New York.
Yeah.
And we were at the top of our game. Let me tell you, Avery Davis High School, #1 high school in Westchester County, had the best student newspaper in the country. We got more awards from anybody. We have great student newspaper. Go ahead, Barbara, recite it.
As I see them from the mountain top, raise on them from the heights. There is a people that swallows the cloth, not reckoned among the nations.
Okay. Now, why do I quote this? This is from the portion of Balak which we read last Shabbat, and Balak is a heathen nation. Moab they're looking down in this particular vision of Balaam. Balaam is a visionary. As thank you for coming, Gloria. Balaam is a vision. You're a visionary too. Keep coming. Yeah, keep coming. Balaam is a visionary from a nation that is not Jewish, put it that way, a nation of idol worshippers. And Balak is his king, and he wants to curse the Jews. That's the whole purpose of that particular portion. And Balaam cannot curse them. Every time he tries to put a curse out, what happens? Puts a blessing out. Okay, now here, this is a beautiful sentence because Balaam is looking down upon the nation of Israel encamped in front of them. And he says, as I see them, this is the prophet Balaam, gaze on them from the heights. There is a people that dwells apart, not reckoned among the nations. So, Hain Am Levaded, we are a nation of separateness. And that's really what we have to keep in mind when we put fences around ourselves. To what degree do we want to separate ourselves from culture around us, around the non-Jewish culture, from the non-Orthodox culture, from the Reconstructionist culture? Everybody puts fences around. And how open are you to listen to the other person and be able to sit down? Here, this is what gives Balak the reason he wants to destroy the Jewish nation, because he sees them, they dwell apart, they're not reckoned, meaning in Hebrew it says lo yitchashev, they are not even thought of like other nations. They're a nation above. They are a chosen nation, and that's who we are. Whether we want to do it or not, we are chosen, and we've survived these 5,785 years because we're chosen. That's it. Not all of us feel chosen, but as a nation, we are chosen. And that's the reason that the people outside of Judaism are jealous of us. And everybody here has a responsibility, is to build a certain wall as you choose. Again, it's up to everybody to build a wall, and so you should feel different. And I go back to my friend who's a lawyer that wears a skull cap when he goes to court. He wears a skull because he wants to feel he's a part of a people that respects the law. And I respect that. I respect that. And you have to respect that. And I respect everybody for coming here and making these sessions very meaningful for me. And keep coming. And I thank Barry for coming.
Thank you.
Our good friend here has sent me some literature of very important literature. He sparked me with Pushkin, who was a prophet himself. The poem is called The Prophet. It's a non-Jewish poet writing about Isaiah prophecy. Pushkin. So we did Pushkin, and now we have another poet. Give me her name.
Anathema.
Anatoma. So I'm looking at it, and I think we will have a session because this is a poet. I believe she is Jewish, I imagine, or maybe we'll find out. But in any case, she writes about biblical women, and we'll have fun with it. We'll have fun in the future. And anytime you guys have ideas for take us in literature, it could be Chinese literature, the Japanese, it could be French, German, Italian, Swedish, anything that you feel ties into the message of the Tanakh. We're here to learn from each other. Yeah, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a certain irony. I don't know if you had this in mind when you timed this.
Yes.
Because it is just a few days after the Tammuz fast, and that commemorates when the Babylon broke through the walls of Jerusalem.
Very good. You heard that, Barry? Yeah, we celebrate the 17th of Tammuz, which is this past Sunday, in memory of the breach of the wall of Jerusalem that was by the Babylonians. It was the beginning of the fall of temple number 1, I believe it was. Yeah, temple
Good
number
timing.
1. And we have to remember that our walls, they're no one, every wall can be broken down, but you got to you got to stick together. That's the bottom line. Yeah? Stick together. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.